So, talking about freedom of speech, freedom of activity, freedom of the press, this is very interesting because I think America, we pride ourselves on tolerance. So it's interesting, a lot the discourse has changed a bit. Some people talk about acceptance. I think acceptance and tolerance is different. I'm more about tolerance, not acceptance, because there's a lot of other people's ideas I don't want to accept, but I want to tolerate it. And you think about tolerance from a physics perspective. Metals like steel have a certain tolerance, is that you could apply so much power to it before it kind of bends and stuff like that, and that's what should be it. So what should not be tolerated in America? So my thought is, once the kind of speech or activities or whatever incites violence, like aka the KKK, that should not be tolerated by no counts. So America should be maximally intolerant towards like hates, it's tricky too. It's not quite hate speech, because like, I don't like it, but if people want to be racist, I mean, that's kind of the downside of America, freedom of speech, right? But if you're racist, but you're encouraging violence against certain groups of peoples, those nut jobs should be locked up, right? So, let's say you're, a racist who's like, I don't like yellow people, I don't like purple people, I don't like green people, whatever it may be. I'm like, I don't like it, but that should be tolerated. But if they're like, oh, we should take all the purple people and then, shoot them or beat them up, that should not be tolerated. Those, if someone's caught saying that, then they should be put in jail or whatever. And so, I mean, it's so funny too, because like, once again, we taking our liberties for granted. I'm so grateful in America. I could talk all the shit I want about Trump on whatever and voice my discontent, and I know that I'm not going to get locked up or tossed into jail indefinitely or executed or disappeared. Whereas in other countries, you say one bad thing about whatever party or government or individual, you could say toodaloo. I mean, like a good documentary to watch on this is like Icarus. It's on Netflix. It's essentially more or less about like Putin and the KGB and the whistleblower who showed the whole like testosterone and the doping sports thing to the public. So for a long time I thought Netflix was bad, but even for that one Icarus documentary, the whole thing is worth it. And I forget the name of the director, but this guy is, whoever made the Icarus documentary, if you're watching this, you're a fucking OG. He's got balls of steel. Much respect to you for even putting your skin on the line. So that's a rare case of a documentary where, the documentarian who produced it actually had the balls to expose some sort of really dangerous thing. So, even though I'm kind of anti-Netflix, I think that one documentary makes Netflix a net positive. But anyways, so, in terms of freedom of speech and activities and stuff like that, the problem about, this is what people don't get, right? Facebook, who owns Instagram, also Facebook owns WhatsApp and whatever like that, and also YouTube, which is owned by Google. They're not freedom of speech platforms. Like people get this twisted. They are private companies, not public utilities. Same thing with Twitter, right? And the same thing with Reddit. And also, like, I quit Reddit maybe like 12 years ago when I was in college, and I'm glad I did, because I think Reddit is owned by Condé Nast, and certainly they have some sort of ulterior motives. And I think they even like recently banned the Donald Trump subreddit. And like, I'm not a Trump supporter, but even for me, and I'm a self-described like left-leaning Bay Area liberal. But even for me, that's a little bit concerning, because, all the big tech companies, Apple, Google, Facebook, Twitter, they're all in the Bay Area, so they're all extremely liberal, left-leaning politics. And I think that a society that is too extreme one way or the other is not a good society. A truly positive, good society should allow the full gamut of expressions. But anyways, so, you could say anything on social media, and sooner or later you can get censored. Sooner or later they're gonna delete your account or whatever. And the best way to become robust is have your own website, right? Bluehost.com, install WordPress.org, and then nobody could prevent you from publishing your mind, and you don't gotta censor yourself. There's no fear of retribution of your post being taken down, which so easily happens with Twitter or Facebook, or sometimes they quote shadow ban you, which is actually another thing. So if you are a type of individual that thinks that freedom of speech is the apex value, don't take your civil liberties for granted. Speak your mind. Become extremely suspicious towards Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Google. Like even nowadays Google, I'm like uber sus of Google now too. So I'm trying to like detach myself from Google products. I'm trying to use Gmail to a minimum. Even Google Calendar, I'm trying to use more like my own self-hosted email. You know, I've been trying to use DuckDuckGo instead of using Google. It's still pretty good. Not as good as Google, but you know, Google is just starting to get a little bit creepy. And even like I'm thinking about getting an iPhone and no longer using Google Maps, just using Apple Maps. Like, and the thing too is that like, I'm not so scared about Google stealing my data or whatever. It's more just like, I don't like advertisement. I think ads are super ugly, and I value a future where I'm not bombarded by ads. Like, I think ads are just ugly. But anyways, so be highly suspicious. Speak more of your mind. To me, the real road to truest happiness and the greatest joy is to speak your mind without fear of retribution. Don't take your civil liberties for granted. Freedom of speech is one of the highest things. So don't self-censor yourself. Don't worry about your reputation, your money, your social positioning, whatever. If you truly want to become an individual who's remembered throughout history, who's remembered throughout history, speak your mind and don't censor yourself one bit.